And welcome into the program. This is Corey Short. This is episode 5 of Cosmic Koolaid. And in the studio with me today, I got none other than Raphael Morales. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you got it. You just call me Raph, though.
Okay.
Everybody calls me Raph.
Okay. So Raph is with the band LazrLuvr. He is the lead singer, amongst other projects.
Yes, sir.
Let's just jump into that. Tell me about LazrLuvr.
LazrLuvr is a 80s tribute group with myself, Hope Griffin as a female vocalist, Eric Congdon, lead guitar, Sam Frame, drums, Walker Aston on bass, and Brad Kirchhoff on keys.
And how long ago did you guys form?
We started, so our first birthday was, our first show was July, it was like 4th of July weekend in Hendersonville, and that was 2021. So Sam and I we were having like a Friendsgiving at his house, and we were just like drunk and talking about like, man, we should do a cover band, but like different, like how do we do this differently? And originally we wanted to do like a Steel Panther kind of situation, like more Lycra than band, but eventually we were like, no, we should actually, let's, like, the 80s are happening right now, and I think that we see that not just in like, you know, streaming media, but everywhere. Like there's this reinvigoration of the 80s type thing. So
well, and there was absolutely a need in the market for it here. There was nobody doing anything like it.
Yeah, so like you get a lot of that in that. We did some market research. You see a lot in the Triangle, but yeah, Western North Carolina is not, you know, a huge industry for 80s tribute groups. So yeah.
And you know, it's funny, I had Eric was in my inbox for years, and we were trying to come together on shows, and you know, I felt guilty because I never found a good fit. I'm just not gonna lie. The social it's an interesting bird, and certain things work and certain things don't. And I was just trying to find the right fit for Eric's solo acoustic. But man, when I was so glad to see not only your all's marketing campaign for LazrLuvr, that beautiful splash of 80s neon colors, tearing up my Facebook wall, and then to know that Eric was in it too, it was like, oh man, okay, we're all over this. We got to make it happen. With that being said, a little bit later, coming up in May, we got you guys coming to Silverado's, opening for Who's Bad? The Michael Jackson tribute, nationwide tribute there. Yeah. That'll be a fun show.
I'm looking forward to it. I heard actually Jack Mascari is producing a record with me right now, and I heard he might be on that bill as well. Is that happening?
That we're trying to make that happen. That would be the perfect opener.
It'd be great. Man.
Absolutely. So man, kudos to you working with Jack. That's
big. I'm working with him and Van. You know, Van Atkins.
Yeah.
We're it's my original project, Moonkeeper. We're producing a cosmic rock opera right now, and they're it's great. I don't want to talk about that though.
So how many projects are you in?
So I'm in an acoustic duet, Moonshine State, with Kate Bryant. She is in Rocky Horror Music Show. She is a fiddle player and extremely talented vocalist. Honky tonk background, country honky tonk, and you know, the whole branding with that is like a honky tonk fiddler and a rock singer walk into a bar in the Moonshine State. What happens? So that's like kind of our thing. We have a really like kind of eclectic set, and then outside of that, I do play solo shows acoustic, and then we have Circuit Breakers, which is our off the wall cover band. You know, whatever we want. And LazrLuvr is like the major project with the most players that sticks to just like this 10-year bracket. And then I have my personal original content in Moonkeeper, which we're in production with right now. And we're probably looking at maybe releasing a single sometime this fall or winter. And that's with Toby Bryant, formerly of Charlie's on Acid, and Brett Johnson, with formerly of Atmosphere. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the first things that stood out to me was the marketing campaign is so authentically 80s. It's really, really well done. And just that LazrLuvr name, like where did that come from?
So I am a huge fan of synthwave, the genre. I listen to a lot of Gunship. I listen to Carpenter Brute. Perturbator. I'm really into like synth Nirvana, you know, and a lot of the branding is like what you kind of like, if you look back at the 80s, what you imagine that it was, but it wasn't actually like that, you know? So it's like the digital version of the analog reality. And I just like had this romance with those deep magentas and purples and blues and like the Tron landscape and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, man, we should play these tunes authentic to their, you know, releases, but we should brand them in a way that's approachable to like now. And that's where I'd kind of like settled on the idea that we use like kind of like synthwave imagery. So yeah, it's just a combination of old and new.
Do you feel like you go into a character per se, almost like you're acting a role?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So this is not the same Raph off stage that.
Yeah. I almost like I almost wanted like an alter ego for LazrLuvr, but I was like, man, it's too much.
Do the guys ever like tone that down a little bit, or do they
No.
fully support your going all in?
Yeah, I think one thing consistent about me and everything that I do is I go big or go home. So like I just assume just be my authentic self in anything that I do, and hopefully I align myself with people that are supportive of that. If they're not, then maybe find some other people.
Well, I got to witness that energy a little bit. I'm not, I got 2 bars on the east side, so I tend to stay on this side of town. I haven't been out to see one of your other shows with LazrLuvr completely yet. Seen a lot of footage, but one incident in which I did get to see your level of energy was when you dove off my stage at Silverado's trying to win $10,000 in a singing competition. That level of energy was pretty awesome.
I almost broke my leg that day.
And I'm real glad you didn't. Real glad you didn't.
That would have sucked for you, and I would have hated every minute of it.
Yes.
No, it was some weird connective tissue in my calf. I jumped off. I did like the scissor kick thing, and it was too. I believe in a thing called love by the Darkness, and I just like felt that guitar solo and jumped off. And it's one of those moments where I was like looking down off that stage because it's not just the stage height, but there's like a little bit in the gravel kind of comes down right there. And I looked at it and I was like, you either do this now and you know exactly what happens, or you're going to spend the rest of your life wondering what it would have been like if you had done it. So like, I was like, now we're going to do this.
Believe in a thing called love. Is that one y'all do with LazrLuvr?
No, but we are trying to bring it into the Circuit Breakers show. Yeah.
Okay.
LazrLuvr has it's a pretty like egalitarian setup. Try to make sure that Hope Griffin is just an absolute like sorceress front woman, and one thing I said from the beginning is that this is not going to be, you know, a one-person fronted group. I kind of wanted like this community vibe of like, you know, Eric's got his songs where he, you know, comes out in front, and then like Hope has her songs, and the lineups changed quite a bit, but early on, and that was the vibe.
What is the goal for the band in 2023 and beyond?
I think 2023 right now we're looking at playing a lot out of market. So like I think we're going to contract with a spot in Hickory this week, and then we are looking at Boone. We're contract for City, and I think there's like a Charlotte date in there. There's a couple where we're starting to kind of get out. So I think the goal this year is to kind of break out of the market that we're in, kind of get through that glass ceiling and kind of put ourselves out there. But again,
so everybody in the band is on board with this becoming a full-on touring act.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And it is a tribute group. Obviously, we're all artists in our own right, and you know we're all very conscientious of our individual brands. LazrLuvr itself is kind of like, as we see it, because we love each other, is like a super group where we get to have the privilege of performing with somebody like Eric Congdon and Hope Griffin and Brad Walker and Sam all in the same space. But I also like understand, and we all do, that our individual projects sort of like that's where we get to be who we are, you know.
So how did these players come together?
Well, actually I was in a Pink Floyd tribute group called the Floyd Philharmonic, and I was playing with Bill Altman, who no longer playing with, but I met Brad through that group, and Brad was the pianist for the Floyd Philharmonic, and some of those players have gone on to start. Well, you've built them. Pinkish Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those players were in Floyd Philharmonic, and they're incredible too.
Yeah, you're just rolling off A-listers.
Dude.
All these names you're mentioning are top-notch.
David Bradley. You want to talk about somebody who understands the soul and fabric of Pink Floyd. David Bradley, he gets it. So I met Brad through that group, and Sam and I had been in an original alternative group, Strange Avenues, for a while, and we had our farewell show at the Orange Peel in 2019. And we've always been brothers. We actually created Strange Avenues while he was in chemo, and he beat cancer, and he's on top of the world, and he's a total maniac, and I appreciate every moment that I get to spend with him. But the idea to, like, if we're going to do this, we're going to bring people in, we got to, like, make sure it's, like, the people, at least people we're in, like, proximity to. And I had experience when I was doing some talent management for some venues like breweries and stuff, booking Hope and Eric. And it's just kind of like reaching out. You know, Eric was booking pretty he had his acoustic gig, Autumn Wood, with Zach Page, Paul McIntyre, Hope Griffin. And kind of like, you know, pitched the idea of Hope coming in, and it just ended up working. It's kind of just like a network thing. Everything we do here is networking. It's all about the community and, like, you know, rising tide raises all ships. So, yeah.
Fantastic, man. Well, tell me about any accolades the band has picked up on the way. Well, so far, I mean, I know you've not been together that long, but you all came on like a wrecking ball last year. I mean, out of nowhere, and you're everywhere.
It was
just so like that.
Yeah, the first moment that we realized, I don't think we haven't had a sold out show that we've ticketed yet. Every ticketed event's been sold out. Granted, these are, you know, rooms in venues 200 to 400, but I think what did it for us was on 9/11 last year at Sierra Nevada. We were playing there, and our front of house contact came up to the stage. He's like, "Hey, just letting you know, they closed the gate." I was like, "What do you mean they closed the gate? Something happened?" He's like, "No, they can't let any more people in." And I was just like, I kind of looked around, and I think I said into the mic, I was just like, just let everybody know here. And, you know, you're on that stage, look, the amphitheater, you got like the, you know, and I looked at all these people, like some sitting like picnic style, some, you know, in the dirt dancing and everything. And I was like, just so you know, everybody that's here, we're here. They just closed the gate. You know, they're at parking capacity. They said they can't, you know, service wise, I guess they were having a hard time with ticket times and everything. But I'd never heard of a local group like, you know, bringing Sierra Nevada to that kind of capacity. So it was pretty romantic to imagine like the, you know, the gate closing and being like one car at a time and everything. Cause I was like, here we are, just a bunch of random people in, you know, Western North Carolina doing that. But so that was the first time I really kind of saw the traction kind of picking up. And then Highland, we played Highland Brewing, and there had to be some like 2,000 people there. And I think that was when we really started mulling over the intention, the trajectory, and everything. And the Mountain Express Best of WNC came out, and we were, you know, second overall to Steep Canyon Rangers. And I was like, do they live here? Are they in the Asheville area? You know, like so we're all just like, no, that doesn't count. We're number, you know. But I love that group, and it was an honor to be on a list with them and Empire Strikes Brass.
Well, I mean, it's been you know, just somebody in my shoes that are dealing with so many different acts and watching so many different calendars just to make sure that everything's on the up and up. You guys came on stronger than anything I've seen locally.
Hell yeah.
Lyric 6, 7, 8 years ago, she graced the cover of Mountain Express, and she had a similar.
Yeah.
I mean, she just took fire.
Explosive.
Fast, yeah.
Explosive, yeah.
And it's really cool to see what you guys are.
I did, and that was another thing. The vocal, for that karaoke competition, I had like just gotten the word that like I'd gotten second place, and I didn't know that she had gotten first. So I was just curious. I was like, I bet.
No, you're talking about Kia.
No, Lyric got first in the not in that karaoke bit.
Oh, not the big one.
In the Mountain Express.
Gotcha.
So I had got gotten second vocalist in Mountain Express, and I was curious because I know like Lyric is just a force to be reckoned with, and I was just like real excited, because she was one of the people that were helping y'all like do that contest, and I came up to her and I was like, I introduced myself because I don't think we'd like formally met before, and I was like, did you win? Like kind of, and she was like, yeah, I did. I was like, I got second place, and I just want to shake your hand. Like it's an honor to come like second to you because it was so that was pretty romantic for me, like just to like be in proximity to that.
So what are the primary differences between LazrLuvr and Circuit Breakers?
Well, the biggest thing is that LazrLuvr is sort of the brand is singularly 1980 to 89, and kind of the appreciation for the genre creation that happened. We're really just getting started in the deep cuts and like, kind of using this momentum to kind of bring a lot more new content to the table. But like genres like new wave being created within a 2-year period. LazrLuvr acts as sort of like a love letter to something that will never exist again. And we understand and respect that. We know that comes with, if we add a song to the show, and if you don't know the song, then you need to research it. Like, not just the music video, like watch some live videos, like see what happened when it dropped. Like it's like a party that it's like a time machine. And I know it's kind of like trite or whatever, but it literally is like the job is to like put yourself in that space as if you were there when it happened. So that's the authenticity piece with LazrLuvr that I think we all understand.
And that it's clearly working. Clearly. I mean, there's no other local band drawing 2,000 people out, bro. There's just not.
Yeah.
Well, and I've dealt with them all. There's nobody else drawing those numbers. That's huge, and I can't wait to see where this is going. At what point do you say, okay, we're done booking this shit ourselves, we need an agent?
I think once we start, we actually had this conversation recently. Once we start seeing stuff happen more on the road, we're gonna like warm up to newer communities and everything. Once we kind of break out of our market a bit, there's a lot of the like back end, like logistics and stuff that we need. We just don't. We're all so spread out. We just don't have the capacity to like navigate. So like, when we cross that bridge when we get there, but essentially it's going to be like an overhead. Like we need somebody to help us figure this shit out because we don't have the time to do it.
Sure. Well, my only counsel on that would be whoever your marketing person is, keep them in place because your marketing is on fire.
That's me. That's all me.
Well, everything about the image that you are projecting out there for LazrLuvr is spot on.
Thank you.
So yeah, keep that rolling. The website, phenomenal.
Thanks.
Phenomenal website. So clean. Just the effort that you guys put in. Yeah. There's only a few out there that really go hard like that. Andrew Scotchy's one. Dude pours everything into his craft, and I love to see that,
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're going to take our first break. Raphael Morales in the studio with us. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the program. This is Cosmic Koolaid, episode 5. I'm your host, Corey Short. In the booth with me from the band LazrLuvr and a few other badass projects, Raph Morales is in the studio. The man is a vocal powerhouse, and we got him coming to Silverados in May, opening for the Michael Jackson tribute, Who's Bad. It's going to be a hell of a show.
Yeah.
Hope to see you all out there. He's got some other shows coming up. You want to throw those out there?
Yeah. Actually, as we record this is 8?
Yep.
February 8th. So tomorrow night, I'm at Wicked West with my acoustic group, Moonshine State.
You talking about the thing April B's doing?
No. It's at Wicked West. They got a beer release there. So it's for the firefighter community and everything. So we're going to be there. And then LazrLuvr's debut is this Friday at 185 in Brevard.
You kept saying hose. You're talking about a fireman's hose.
Fireman's hose.
April B's putting on this show called the Hoedown Throwdown or something. And she's doing nothing but like Cardi B tracks and like the marketing on it's cool as hell. Like I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah.
Kudos to you, April B, on that.
Yeah. Oh, I love April. I've seen her so many times.
She's badass.
Such an incredible, just super dynamic and athletic performer. And I love watching everything that she does for sure.
My first music video I ever did was Ryan Roots, and she just showed up to be an extra, and that's where I met her. And I mean, you know how her look is just electric, dude.
Oh, yeah.
She's on fire.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Friday we're LazrLuvr's 2023 debuts in Brevard, and then got acoustic shows in Henderson County, and from there, off to the races. LazrLuvr's got a bunch of shows all over the region. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we spent the first segment talking about the bands and the projects and what you guys' goals are for coming up years. Let's talk more about you.
Okay.
You, the artist, the musician. First of all, stupid question. Do you consider yourself an artist?
I think that I am principally above everything a brother, son, and uncle. But I would say second to those three things, I would say I'm an artist, yeah.
What is it that inspires you? Musically, artistically?
I don't want this to come off basic or whatever, but I appreciate like catharsis and I like log it away when I have the opportunity, the privilege to experience that in any performing capacity or any creative endeavor. If I experience that, then that becomes kind of like the logbook of like this is the curated culmination of experiences that are creating my artistic identity. As far as the inspiration piece to that, I got a lot to be pissed off about. I mean, rock has always been like my fuel. It's always been my genre. I'm just now getting back to my roots of like 90s country and alternative with this group Moonshine State. But rock's always been a vehicle for me, not just in the like, aggravated, pissed off way, but like in the romance and, that sort of understanding the lack of control, the sort of allowing things to breathe and allowing people to express themselves alongside of you without any directive. So I think, I don't know, that's a huge question. What inspires you? I wasn't prepared for that. A lot of shit inspires me.
We'll
you
come
inspire
back around
me.
Are you a songwriter?
Yeah, I write songs. Yeah, I got so I was in an alternative group, Strange Avenues, for a long time. We had a couple of good runs, and
Do you have any that you're just mega proud of?
I think, yeah, in Strange Avenues, there was a couple of folks, if they go on Spotify, they could look up Strange Avenues, not the Jethro Tull song, but the band. And they'd see, there was that first record, The Great Blue and Wide. My second sitcom was a song that I'd written about sort of like toxic dependency and sort of going along to get along, and how important it is for us to understand the toxic relationships in our lives and to sort of divorce ourselves from that. Outside of Strange Avenues, this group that I'm in right now, I've spent 4 years on two songs on and off over 4 years. It's taken that long to, collaborate with someone like Toby Bryant to kind of create this material. I think this is probably what I'm more proud of what I'm doing right now as far as like original stuff goes than anything I've done before. And I think it's the intention. It's like there's a point where like you hit the strip, you play the circuit, your region, whatever, play the dives, you do the acoustic shows at the breweries, and then that lived experience of performing kind of becomes a catalyst for you to appreciate any opportunity you have to sit with yourself and create something. And you couldn't have the latter without the former. And I think what I appreciate the most about the people I'm collaborating in Moonkeeper, this original project now, is that they've got decades of the former, and they're showing up, with ammunition, performance experience and interfacing and different markets and everything. So,
Now, what's your preferred writing process? Do you find the sound first and then?
Yeah. And people have asked me before, like, I don't understand how people will write like word and then put music to it. That to me, short of like on the podcast, I co-host and co-produce a podcast as well, Fire on the Mountain. And we did, for our Patreon patrons, we did a special story. And I was like, I'm going to do this real basic kind of score to this in the background because it was like telling a story, And it was so difficult because I was trying to base the music on like the delivery of so like I don't understand how, and all the respect for people that write the words, your lyrics first. For me, it's like the music happens first, and it's what comes. The music is what I feel inside, and that music inspires tone. So intention. Am I anxious? Am I concerned? Am I peaceful? Do I feel liberated, or do I feel angry? Do I have resolve, or am I searching for resolve in a dead place? So it's like a lot of those things I just have like, I try to think about melody and everything in whatever complex form it comes from the music. And that tends to be the inspiration for lyrical content for me.
It's really cool how your brain works. Just watching you navigate all these thoughts right now is a pretty cool thing.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Do you play an instrument?
I do. I play guitar. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm a guitarist because I have the honor of playing with total maniacal people on guitar, but yeah, I can strum a guitar.
So, since the moment you considered yourself a musician, an artist, what's the biggest loss, the biggest L of your career? Biggest nightmare moment, or, I mean, obviously falling off that stage couldn't have been the worst thing that ever happened to you.
I chalk that up as a W.
Absolutely.
I think I'm actually not going to say the venue, but the worst experience I had was when I was in Strange Avenues, and we had the opportunity early on headline a venue in Asheville. And this was a venue I held in very high regard. And I was super excited about it. And, I did my promoting thing and, got the word out to people. And, we played the show, but getting there, loading in and soundcheck, it was like there was, no connectivity with front of house engineer. It was sort of like a dismissive, and I got the vibe that we were just filling a date on a calendar, which at the time was offensive. Now I'm just like, well, that makes sense, of course, but like, I was like, even if I am filling a date on a calendar, I don't want to feel like I'm filling a date on a calendar. So like, just like whatever bland pretending to, to mix us. And then like the worst experience I've had was playing a venue, as I'm sure many folks out there have, where you're like, man, I can't wait to get in there. And then you get in there and it's like finding out Santa's not real. It's like, oh, fuck. Like, I really thought this was going to be more spectacular, but I just had some stale nachos and, drippy, melty cheese on some stale nachos.
Now, was this just based on the expectation of how you thought every show should go, or was this just how you saw that venue in a much higher regard?
I would say it was venue specific. I'd seen a couple of shows there and again, because I don't want to indicate the venue, but there were artists that had played there that I held in very high regard, and I was like really looking forward to the opportunity to perform on a stage that like, oh man, they played here too. And then I was like, oh man, is this what it's like? Like, because they didn't have a different green room. Like these people I look up to like also sat in this little box, and I was like, so it's kind of like disenchantment, I guess. Like
sure.
So, but ultimately, again, no loss is a true loss. I would also chalk that up as a win.
And the biggest win. What's your truly your best, your moment where you can credit all the good stuff too?
I would say hands down, the bittersweet victory for us was our farewell in Strange Avenues at the Orange Peel, because first off, I don't think that, and this is something I don't think a lot of folks talk about in like the Asheville market. There's really not a lot of bands coming from Hendersonville going anywhere to do anything. And I say that anything, meaning like larger venues and stages in Asheville, at least at that time. Obviously, it's changed a lot, and there's a lot of forward momentum for a lot of artists right now. At that time, for an original alternative rock group from Hendersonville, you know, for whatever it says to the people that, you know, booked it and promoted it and in the Asheville market, whatever, for the people that came out, for people from small town Hendersonville to like make their, you know, bi-monthly trek up to Asheville to go see a band or something, they're going to see a band from their town. And I felt so much magnetism around this event. You know, it's just like, people are going to remember this because they went to the Orange Peel to see. I know that the Orange Peel has done a lot of work in the past couple of years to be inclusive to a lot of like, you know, punk and metal scene bands in the area. But like for other artists to come, just not from Asheville, but from surrounding areas, to come and have the opportunity to be on that stage with that scope of production and everything, is super validating. And not just for those artists, but for the people that support them, to like be like, oh, look, like the kids can do it. And like, look, here they are. You know, it's like, so there is a responsibility with a stage that size that isn't lost on me, and the implications it can have for young artist career, as well as that farewell show there was like our last one, and to go out with a bang and everything. It was tears all night, and it was beautiful. So that, I think that was probably my favorite on stage.
So is music your full-time gig right now? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Raph, if one of the questions that I've be a part of this program with all of my guests is, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't doing what I'm doing right now, I'd probably be wishing I was.
That's okay. That works. Good answer. What's a dream duet?
A dream duet for me, or living Jack Black.
Oh, that'd be dope. Oh, that'd be dope. That'd be so great.
Yeah, an acoustic set with Jack Black.
So maybe we look at his band with LazrLuvr opening next year. I think we put out an offer to him.
Really?
To Tenacious D either this year or last year. It didn't work out, but you never know, man. That'd be cool as hell.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
All right, folks. So we are going to take our next break. Again, we got Raph Morales from the band LazrLuvr in studio with us. So glad to have him here, and we'll be right back.
Okay. Hey y'all, I'm Dunbar with Instant Karma Asheville. We are a one-stop hippie shop and a true Asheville experience. Oh, and we have 3D tapestries. You gotta check this out. See what I'm saying? Every 3D tapestry comes with a free pair of 3D glasses. It's amazing. And we have beautiful dream catchers for catching all those dreams that you don't want to have. 2 locations, one in West Asheville on Haywood Road, and the other one is downtown on North Lexington Avenue. Make sure you check out our online store at instantkarmaasheville.com. And I can say we are the place you want to be.
And welcome back to Cosmic Koolaid. This is episode 5. I'm your host, Corey Short. Raph Morales in the studio with me from the band LazrLuvr and Circuit Breakers. And man, I'm just so glad to have you here.
Yeah,
you are a unique individual, a remarkable talent. And folks, if you're not seeing LazrLuvr or this man perform in any of his projects, definitely look him up and check him out. You won't be sorry.
That's incredibly kind of you to say. Thank you for saying that.
Man, you're so good. Come on now, you can't be modest here.
Thank you. I know.
Anyway, you're very welcome. I'll keep saying it till everybody hears it. Let's talk about this white balloon for a second, bro.
Okay.
What the hell's going on with that? Any ideas?
You know, so it went over Hendersonville.
Right.
Okay. I woke up and I was kind of, full disclosure, I was pretty hungover whenever it happened. I woke up and I was like, oh man, it's one of those days where like executive functioning was like, I had sort of a
That was
deficit.
me this morning.
Okay. So I had a deficit of executive function. And then you just get on social media and you're like, just motivate me to get up, please. But it never works out that way. You just doom scroll and whatever. And it was like nonstop, like China balloon. I didn't care because I was like, what is China going to surveil of Western North Korea?
I mean, the satellites can see anything they want to see.
Right. That's the thing. So for me, I was just like, I don't buy the hype, I just like, and a lot of government political stuff, I'm definitely the guy who's like, I'm not going to buy the hype.
Right.
So if I see people just like chomping at the bit over something like this, I'm like, well, what's going on over here? Like, I believe in the, this distraction engine. So like, but then I also like keep myself in check where it's just like, how much do you really give a shit? Like, even if they're trying to distract you from this over here, it's just like, is any of this really going to act to the detriment of your life or people you care about or communities that you're interfacing with regularly? And I just like, it just felt kind of like this nebulous non-threat kind of thing to me. Yeah.
Heard. All right, man. Well, again, so we're talking more about you and your own personal musical aspirations. We talked about the dream duet before the break. Let's talk about the dream venue, man. Where would you love to play?
It's got to be Garden, right? It's got to be the Garden. Yeah.
Red Rocks? There's some great ones, man.
Yeah.
Tough question.
I want to say Madison Square Garden because I saw one of the best live shows I've ever watched was Pearl Jam, Madison Square Garden, and that was on their. They had footage on that of their 23. Did you watch that? The documentary is like 23 years of Pearl. I think it was 23 years of Pearl Jam.
It's new?
I think it came out like 5 years ago.
Okay.
Relatively new, but yeah. I mean, it just Eddie Vedder on that stage. He's an icon to me. Like I appreciate his songwriting, his voice, his content lyrically and everything. And for me, like seeing Eddie Vedder in that space, I was like, oh man, that'd be awesome. But Red Rocks also, I'm just like, I would have to think about the band, like the dream venue. Also, you have to think about the band that's going to take you to the dream venue. So like acoustically, like the Garden's got probably a lot more like front end control. Red Rock's a lot more organic, sort of like, hard surfaces and rock and earth and all that. So it would depend on the band. But LazrLuvr, Madison Square Garden.
Is there like a favorite piece of gear that you can't live without when you're doing a show?
I've recently gotten into with this original group, Moonkeeper. I've really gotten into Paul Reed Smith gear, and I think the MT15 amp for me is a must. I get clean tone. I get a spectrum. I get a full spectrum of tone out of that amp, and deeply appreciate it, especially for the genre that is. But outside of that, vocal processing, I don't do live pitch correction because I have a very versatile and sometimes volatile voice. Like I've got really high highs and really low lows, and I'm very like vocally dynamic. And the thing is with, some mic setups, depending on the processor, they're going to pick up band sounds, and that's going to come into how it interprets your voice. And TC Helicon for me has been integral for delay, slapback verb, harmonizing with myself, looping. So I would say that vocal processing, TC Helicon is something that's always going to be there for me as well.
Do you have any new tracks that are about to drop very soon?
Probably not until later this year.
Okay.
I think I'd mentioned, I don't know if we were recording when I'd said, but Jack Mascari here in Asheville is going to be producing our record, Moonkeeper. It's a cosmic rock opera, and we're probably going to drop like 2 singles, thinking the first one probably sometime in the fall.
Awesome.
Going to press vinyl next year and stuff like that. So yeah,
We'll have to get you back on the show to help promote that when it comes out. Absolutely.
He should come with me. I'd love to do a show with Jack.
Absolutely. Well, we got him scheduled next week to come in, and then he's going to be doing stuff with Lita and Mark Keller, and he's just a chameleon, man.
He's all over the place.
He's amazing.
What about this Asheville Fest? Did you see that?
Just dropped today.
Dropped
huge.
today. This can be insane.
It's huge. My feelings are a little hurt that I'm in Black Mountain and I don't get to be included in it, but it's okay.
I was on the phone with Jack this morning, like having some coffee, and called him, and I was like, somebody just sent me a picture of a screenshot of this thing, and he was like, yeah, me too. He's like, first I've heard about it.
It's supposed to be all locals.
Cool.
So
that's good.
They're taking over every venue in town, over 100 bands. I mean, it's good.
Hell yeah.
It's great for the scene, no doubt.
Absolutely.
So speaking of that, what artists do you rock to these days?
I have a special place in my heart always. If I really want to get to like the roots of a lot of like me, if I can just kick back, it's gonna be Jane's Addiction. But outside of that, like as far as modern music,
we're talking like current, new Jane's Addiction,
old Jane's Addiction.
Okay,
I'm saying like I'll still.
I was like, I didn't know they were putting out new material.
No. But I'll be rocking out in the Jeep, like on my way to wherever doing it. And I was actually during COVID, I started a Jane's tribute group. So like, I'd sing Perry Farrell, and like he's kind of been like a warm up exercise for me instead of YouTube videos. Like I'll just rock out the Jane's Addiction in the car. But if it's not Jane's, then I'm super into synthwave, dark wave, the new genre blink wave. I really like Carpenter Brute. So Carpenter Brute opened up for Ministry at the Orange Peel. I think it was 2019. In my humble opinion, upstaged Ministry at the Orange Peel. Total synth powerhouse, and the visuals were like, late 70s, early 80s B and C slasher horror movies, just like constant, like just gore and practical effects, and it's just like heavy drums. Like he had an acoustic kit, like interspersed with like electric pads, and then he also had like a laptop, and he had like programs, and the guitarist was like this tiny little guy. Then his guitar was so huge, and he was like they were working for it. And I remember just being absolutely mesmerized by them. And then they went on to write their own cosmic opera, which people can find. I think it's on Shudder now, Blood Machines. And I watched that. It's so inventive. And I love this sort of like retro futurism, synthwave,
So you're going to love this next part.
All right.
And I can't give up too much about it because it's an upcoming episode, but I have a very dear friend of mine who just filed a patent that creates a DMX run light show from the EKG from your brainwaves. So
what?
What can happen is you can be on stage live with an EKG all over you.
This is so dumb.
It could be incredible. Like, so DMX reads the brainwaves of the EKG and makes the light show in real time. Or just imagine this. Imagine that the family of Jimi Hendrix had his old medical files, turned in an old EKG.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there's so much potential to this.
Wow.
So it's not going to matter to most artists, But if like a lifelong fan of Hendrix, or, you know, if there's a way to reconnect to their live brainwaves.
Yeah.
I mean, there's,
In my brain, I like imagine the Back to the Future, like Dr. Brown with the headset. He's like, "You're selling insurance, life insurance." Remember, he opens the door and he's got the big thing, but like, it's probably not like that at all. But and also Prince. You remember when Prince was like he talked about how like the holographic interpretation of an artist, like that's like a demon. He's like, I never want that to be a thing. And then Justin Timberlake did that Super Bowl and he put Prince up and everything, and everybody's like, this is terrible. Like he never wanted this to be. So I'm one of those people where like, if Jimi Hendrix, you know, had never vocalized concern about that sort of resurrection of the art, then it's like, it's imperative if we have the opportunity to do it, to like to reanimate it. If any artist like understands that's a possibility and doesn't give consent to that, obviously it shouldn't be a thing.
Right.
But like if we can pull up Jimi Hendrix brainwaves and like synchronize a full light show to that.
I mean, it's a pretty cool concept. And even if it's not got the entertainment factor that we think it will, it's still cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that love that artist are going to buy that ticket.
Yeah.
The whatever branded, whatever they end up calling this thing, that wave Jimi Hendrix show, and they're going to go and get to watch it based on his charts. You know?
And also just like putting it on, like if you had like I'm just thinking from my perspective, if we didn't have a light show and I was doing like, you know, an original,
you could do it live.
A rock show like of original shit, and I'm like, I've never experienced this. Just put it on my head. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah,
I have to. I mean, it feels like it. You know,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm going to stay close to the project. I think it's exciting.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of potential there. All right, my man. So we talked about venues that are your dream scenarios. What's your favorite venue you've played to date in your whole journey?
In my whole journey, favorite venue. Oh man, that's hard for a couple of reasons because of like good relationships that I have with venues, and if I don't say
two, don't put them in order. It's okay.
I would say that the Orange.
I'm assuming it's a local venue.
The Orange Peel locally was. And not just because of the emotional, you know, dynamism of that night, but it was just the mix was great, the staff was great, the space was great.
It's iconic.
It was incredible. I was like, I get why there's this romance with the Orange Peel. Like it just feels incredible.
Justin Farabee does such an incredible job with that venue.
Yeah.
He's just great.
Yeah. So that was I think if I could choose, I would say that would be number one. Number two. Unfortunately, they're not around anymore, but I'd have to say the Mothlight.
Okay.
The Mothlight was iconic in its own way, especially for, you know, they had touring groups, but for a local artist, you're always, if you're coming onto the scene, you're like, what's the venue I want to play, you know? And like that was one of those when they had their doors open, that was like, you know, if you had the opportunity to play the Mothlight. It's like, don't squander it. And then like the green room downstairs was like, they had a TV and like just a wall of VHS. And I remember for our show, like I grabbed, was it Wolfman, old black and white Wolfman. And I put that on and we just like sat back and we were just watching Wolfman the whole time. Like, well, you know, doors open and everything. It's fucking romantic, man. Like these are memories that venues and folks don't realize, like, when artists perform a place, sometimes their experience outside of just performing to the audience, sometimes there's romance in their experience with the venue they're playing in. Whether it's the staff or the green room or the memories they make on those shitty pinball machines, wherever, you know, it's like the things that happen backstage for those people, that could be an iconic moment in their brain where it's just like, that was the best time of my life. So I appreciate that question, and I think that anybody that plays around here should really think about, like, what was the best venue you played around here and why? And I think that answering that question is going to give them fuel for what, you know, reasonable expectations are in the future and the kind of venues they'll look forward to playing to.
Cool. I appreciate that perspective too. I mean, we've definitely had some romantic moments with acts along the way that have come through Silverados on tour.
Yeah.
Some that have, earned us a much grander standing with that agency, and now they're wanting to come back for 2 days, and so that that rapport you develop on site, it works both ways.
And I gotta say to that, I really wanted to come see Yngwie, and I was super pissed that I couldn't. That was something 2 of my friends were going, and they're like, "Let's pal up, let's go to Yngwie Malmsteen at Silverados." That's one that I'm gonna be like,
we plan to bring him back in 2024, not in 2023. But yeah, he's reasonably priced, and he puts on a hell of a show. So
hell yeah,
we'll make sure you're part of that one next time, buddy.
Hell yeah.
So you guys have had a pretty, I'm not going to say easy because I know you've worked your ass off, but you've had a nice, quick rise with your band. Doesn't appear as though you've had a lot of challenges, but what is the biggest challenge you guys are facing right now?
I think it's like the kid in the house who hits puberty, and you get real sick and tired of blowing money on clothes that stop fitting. I think that's kind of where we're at, where it's like adjusting to the growth rate in a way that's reciprocal and respectful. We have fans that understand like the community piece here, and they know that like center to LazrLuvr is people. It's not us. We're not playing original music. This is just music that is, it's iconic. It's attached to memories. It's in a lot of cases the best memories of people's lives, and that's not lost on us. Like, we have tremendous appreciation for the work that was done in order for us to do this, and we understand the privilege that we have to be able to do it. And we also know that these songs accompany people through lifelong journeys. And as we grow, if we sacrifice any of that shit, we're playing the wrong game. So like the hardest part is navigating growth, not as if we're, like a band that got a breakthrough on the radio in some college town, and now we're jettisoned into this. Like it's our trajectory, it's our piece, it's our vehicle. Like we're not. It's a different entity altogether because our vehicle is our community, and people have sacrificed decades of work, education, labor, dues paid in order for them to create the songs that we are now playing. So we respect that, and we know that as we grow in whatever way that looks like, whatever capacity, we have to keep that respect, not just for the artists whose music we're playing, but also for the people who are experiencing it.
What do you think the biggest misconception is about this life that you guys lead as full-time musicians?
I think the biggest misconception, it's funny because like a lot of misconceptions about me are probably just true. I'm a total stereotype as a fucking individual, but I think the biggest misconception is that I don't want to sound so trite and ridiculous, but that it's easy. Like, I don't think, sometimes people understand, and at least people in our community, in our circles, they understand like we've been going through the dregs of this shit for years, and like it's been so hard sometimes to like keep your chin up after playing an acoustic solo gig to like one person at the bar and them handing you, $150 check, and you looking at that and being like, I should give this back to you. Like, I feel like I just cost you money, To go from that, it's like, I guess the sphere of growth and how it looks, the biggest misconception is that like for us, it didn't happen overnight. LazrLuvr as a brand, it did happen relatively quickly, but that's because of the people that were participating in that brand development. So like, and again, it's a Western North Carolina 80s tribute group. You know, we're not touring the country and everything. So
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. So I try to, you know, keep that humble perspective and understand, like, stay in your lane, know where you're at. And I also try to, like, subtly remind people that, like, oftentimes misconceptions are projections. So like, we all have the opportunity to learn more about our neighbor and how they got where they are, what they're going through, what they're doing. And I think that LazrLuvr as a group, as an ensemble of people who have spent so much of their lives participating in this market and growing their own careers, it acts as a piece where I think LazrLuvr as an ensemble, as a group of people who have been paying these dues and have been working so hard and so diligently in developing community, you know, building these relationships, I think it acts as like a sample of like what it looks like when a lot of people work really hard and they show up in a room. When they show up in that room, that's not when it started. So the biggest misconception is that when we got together, that's when it started. And then that is like, that's the sample size of growth, is when we got together. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, it does. So for you personally, who in life and music in general, who is your biggest inspiration? What other human is your biggest inspiration?
Oh, man. And my biggest inspiration is my sister in all things. Sophia. She's yeah, I'm a family person. My brother, my mom, my sister, my niece and nephew, my sister-in-law, soon-to-be sister-in-law. My brother's getting married in September. But my sister is just a goddess and just a total powerhouse of independence and strength and wisdom. She's done an incredible job raising her two kids, and I tell people all the time that, like, everything I do, there's a future right now. As you and I sit in this room, those two kids, 2 and 3, they're like in their 30s, maybe 40s, and they are looking back to this moment. And if I'm doing anything that isn't something that could make them proud, knowing the scale of, you know, tools at my disposal, then, like, I'm not doing the right thing. So I live for those kids, and I live for my sister, my family, and she's my biggest inspiration for sure.
Awesome. So what was the most important lesson that you've picked up along the way since you've been doing music?
Honestly, if it's bad, for me, the biggest lesson was, like, when it sucks, when it's bad, that needs to be some fuel. So, like,
When you say bad, you mean low crowds?
Small payouts, people talking shit about your original music, or, you know, people just haters saying, you know, all the vitriol that comes with all of the stuff that you've been in proximity to. It's like, for me, the biggest lesson was being able to not compartmentalize it, but, like, redirect it as, like, forward fuel, where it's just like, that means that I'm doing it. If I'm getting that negative feedback, if I'm playing the venue that was small, now it becomes, back when I did the small venue, that becomes the negative feedback that inspired me to work harder, or, you know, to try something new. So, like, that was a hard lesson, because especially with, like, the vulnerability that comes with, like, performing, is like, you really do feel like you're dissected sometimes in front of, like, total strangers, and that can be really hard for people. and I have the utmost respect for all of the artists in the scene here that have to put themselves in front of people and navigate that day in and day out, or night in and night out.
So I think what I'm doing here right now with this is my first experience in that.
Yeah.
So like I was a DJ forever, but
You got a good DJ voice.
I don't know. I was really good at that, and I never felt maybe they're talking about me, maybe they don't approve, maybe, you know.
Yeah.
With this, however, I'm freaked out. I'm watching the comments all the time. Like, I'm just waiting on somebody to burst my balloon here, but I'm loving it so far. I'm loving, you know, I never thought I'd want to be on this side of the camera interviewing guests. I never thought I'd be able to maintain an attention level to sit here and you know.
It's a good podcast, man.
Thank you, bro.
It's good, yeah. And a wise woman once told me that self-care is staying out of the comments. So
I think I'm going to adopt that for sure. All right, folks, we got one more segment coming up with Raphael Morales of LazrLuvr, and we'll be right back.
In 2023, lines will be crossed, champions will be determined, and legends will be made. HVW once again sets the stage for great professional wrestling in Western North Carolina, bringing the best talent together for the Showdown Series at Silverados, featuring TJ Boss, Jada, Stone, Reno, Royce, Luca, Daniels, Marcus, Erics, Michael, King, and King Enterprise. The bar and standard in professional wrestling has always been high in North Carolina. This year, High Velocity Wrestling takes that into the atmosphere. It's the Showdown Series at Silverados.
And welcome back to our fourth and final segment of this program. It is Cosmic Koolaid, episode 5. I'm your host, Corey Short, and in the booth with me from the band LazrLuvr, we have Raphael Morales. We call him Raph.
Yes, sir.
And we're so glad to have you here, brother.
I'm glad to be here. This is fun.
Yeah, man, it is fun. I got a few more fun questions for you before we wrap it up, and I think we might showcase some of your media.
I would like to take this opportunity, because I do consider it an opportunity to be on this show. I think I want to tease a little Moonkeeper here. It might be the first time, I guess, that it's teased. So
awesome. We showing a video, playing a tune.
We'll just play a little MP3 if you got some visual to accompany. Yeah.
All right, take a listen. We'll be right back.
Waking up next to you, oh, milk up my vein. Water long, with no steam. Battle on your collarbone, say so.
And welcome back. You heard it right here on Cosmic Koolaid. That is from the band Moonkeeper, one of Raph's other projects. Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, so it's a project the record's being produced by Jack Muscari, which I think we'd mentioned before, and tracking with Van Atkins, mastering Michael O'Shea, songwriting with Toby Bryant, formerly of Charlie's on Acid, and Brett Johnson, formerly of the band Atmosphere. So
Now, real quick before I hit you with these last questions, you mentioned earlier you have a '90s country in your history. Tell me what that looks like. Who-
Okay, so I grew up in Montana.
Okay.
I moved here in '06 from Alaska, but I really spent my most of my adolescent years in Montana. So I was George Strait, Tim McGraw. I'm a huge fan of Tim McGraw. His acting and music career. I'm just a big fan of Tim McGraw. But like Brad Paisley, Tim McGraw, George Strait, Alan Jackson, Brooks and Dunn. I think that a lot of those bands kind of like paved the way for me in the younger parts of my life before I got my hands on, the first Doors album that I ever held in my hand. So like before that happened, I was listening to country music, and that was the first time where I was like realized I could learn a whole song in like, an hour. And it's like, well, now I know all the words. And then the next one. I think I had like a science teacher in like 6th grade who was like, like every song on the radio. And that was just because of like 90s country. So Moonshine State is this acoustic duet with Kate Bryant, formerly of Fancy and the Gentleman. And she's with the Rocky Horror Music Show here in Asheville. And she's collaborating with me on some fiddle and some vocal. She's got perfect, just flawless like voice. I mean, her voice in the genre is like unmatched from what I've seen, at least in the area. And I'm really excited for the opportunity for that to fall on more ears. But so her and I decided, rock singer, honky tonk fiddler, let's collaborate and see what happens, get to our roots a little bit. So yeah, that's where that's at.
What do you think about how it's progressed from the Tim McGraw at his peak to what is now the Tyler Childers, Cody Jinks? It took a wave towards the pop side, for 10, 15 years, but now it seems like it's finding it.
Well, it's interesting that you would use those names and then in the same breath say it took it, to the pop side. Because I would almost say somebody like Tyler Childers or Sturgill Simpson is like an improvement on Tim McGraw. I would say that like Tim McGraw had a very, in the pocket sort of market sensibility, kind of like pop awareness with his delivery. And then the 21st century experimentation with the genre we see with folks like Sturgill Simpson and Tyler Childers is
I'm
unmatched.
talking about that gap in between of like Florida, Georgia line. And that's the pop garbage.
No, we don't got to talk about it.
I'm thankful we have found ourselves back at Coulter Wall, Tyler Childers, some good authentic country.
Same. Turtles all the way down. It's like country song about drugs, how love is forever, and my whole life changed because of like some experiences that I had and everything. I mean, I think that also, did you listen to Tyler Childers' latest the gospel songs where he did all the renditions of the? So, and I'm just like a space cadet right now. It totally escapes me. But the name of the record, he did multiple interpretations of gospel songs. So the whole record is like 4 renditions of the same song. Strong recommend to whoever's listening that latest Tyler Childers. But I'm always gonna be like Tyler Childers, Sturgill Simpson, like
sure,
for sure.
All right, Raph, if you could hop in a time machine and go back and give some counsel to your 15-year-old self,
okay,
what would that look like?
15, I have to think about where I was and what I was doing. Okay. If I could give counsel to my 15-year-old self, it would be nicer to your brother. I think that outside of the scope of my music career, like I was saying before, the family piece is pretty important to me. And I have a lot of space in my heart for my family, and they come before everything. And I understand that a lot of what I was going through at that time was difficult. And my brother's 3 years younger, and now he's 4.5 inches taller. But he, just I was picking on him or whatever. I think more so than fortune or career advice, educational advice, the root of everything comes to like the relationships you hold closest to your chest. So I would say if I could go back, time machine, 15-year-old man, I'd be like, shut the fuck up. Leave that kid alone. Love him harder. Appreciate him.
That's so cool, man. It's so cool. It really, like, you got me all in my feels because I just recently stumbled across a meme or something, a video where this famous actor is just going on and on about call your damn mama.
Yeah.
Stop what you're doing and call your mama.
Yeah.
And talk to her.
It's so easy to be caught up in all this vehicle, this loudness. It's like, just think about who you care about, and like that's where because that's the love you give to yourself and to the people you care the most about becomes the fuel that you will have to do anything at all. So like, you gotta put you and your people first. And when you think about advice, don't be like, oh, you shouldn't have put all your bets on Bed Bath & Beyond before 2020, or you shouldn't have, you should have gone to this show instead of that show. Like, no. It's like, just think about the relationships you had, and, obviously live without regrets. None of this is in the scope of regrets or whatever, but.
Sure. But if they're still living, there's still, a chance to fill those voids. Absolutely.
Yes. If they're living, you got to live not just with them, but for them.
How would your parents describe you? How would your mom describe you? You brought up your mom, so we'll just go. We're gonna leave that alone. How would your mom describe you?
I don't know. That's a great question. I'm definitely. I hope you keep this bit in because I'm going to send it to her. I think mom would describe me as chaotic as fuck, but intentional, passionate, but empathetic, and trying. She would say I'm probably a hard worker and I'm trying a lot. Hopefully you keep this bit and I'll send it to mom and we'll see if she corroborates that.
We're going in the same neighborhood as that, but when you're done here on this earth, what do you want people to say? What do you want your legacy to be?
On my podcast, the podcast I co-host, not mine. I co-host and produce at Fire on the Mountain. We talk a lot about the capacity we have for goodness, and how if you have the opportunity to be a vehicle or a vessel for goodness, there's every dividend, be it psychological, emotional, spiritual, even financial, will be paid if you drive that vehicle. If your endeavor is goodness in this life, then like you're set. It'll work out. You can I want my legacy to be like, he did the best he could, and like he just wanted to do good. I'm not really looking for a lot more than that. And I also don't want to take up a lot of space, so holier than thou and megalomaniacal, whatever the fuck. So, yeah.
What other jobs have you held other than music? What else have you done?
Oh man, so I was actually working at Bramari when COVID happened.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the kitchen there, and I just saw they closed it. Bramari closed, unfortunately. But my birthday is March 15th, and COVID hit Asheville. There was that New York person that came through, and that was March 16th, the next day. Literally everything shut down, and so I was working at Bramari there. So I've been a kitchen rat, for a long time.
Okay.
Sous chef, been an executive chef, prep cook, whatever, and I've been bartending, a lot of service industry, and then I've been a construction project manager, framing in Atlanta. I did framing, rough plumbing, grading, done a lot of painting. house painting, refinishing, staining, a lot of woodwork too, tree removal, landscaping, hardscaping. I'm kind of like
What's your least favorite job you've ever had?
washing dishes.
Sure.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that dishwashing job at Outback I had when I was like 19 was probably the worst. Yeah.
Are you a reader?
Yeah, I'm a writer too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do me a favor and recommend Raph's top 3 books to my audience. What would those be?
Oh man. This is going to take a second, but I think number 1, first place is probably going to be Dune, the sci-fi series. That probably takes first place. Second place is probably going to be Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Great book.
Third place goes to the Bible. I think I'm not a religious person, but it acts as an instrument for a lot, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say that it was important reading. Socially, culturally, it's indicative of a lot of things we see day in and day out, and it is something that a lot of people would readily die over that we share this space with. So I think as a social and cultural piece, it's important. Notice I didn't have that much commentary on Dune and Hitchhikers, but
That was good. I mean, very well put, though.
Thank you.
What's your favorite movie ever?
Oh man, okay. So my number 1 movie of all time was Children of Men for a long time, and then I saw The Whale, and
It's that good, huh? I haven't seen it yet.
dude, I'm still like, when I think about it, I get emotional a little bit. Like, it is a masterpiece.
What a cool thing for Brendan Fraser to come back with, you know?
Yeah, and I think it was super important. Like, his career was part of the reason why he was cast. Not to give anything away, but Sadie Sink co-stars with him. His daughter in the movie. She's in Stranger Things. She's in that famous scene with running up that hill where she floats over the grave. Her character in Stranger Things, it's like almost like the whale could be an extension of that character. And I think that, going outside of people being typecast or whatever, like them and their individual careers have led them to these roles. And I think the fourth dimension of this style of storytelling is understanding the actors that are playing these roles and what it took for them to get there. And that piece wasn't lost on me. And it's just like, also I love movies where it's like it's a closed set, like Streetcar Named Desire with thinking like old school, but like what's his name? My brain's not working. Apocalypse Now and The Godfather, Marlon Brando. So Streetcar Named Desire, Marlon Brando. Like as they were, the set would get close and smaller and smaller to create like paranoia, claustrophobia. And what I love is whenever filmmakers or directors on stage or screen utilize the sets and the environments almost as if they were a character in the production. So like I really appreciated the set in that movie, in The Whale. It was like the kitchen was a thing, the dining room, the living room, the bathroom and bedrooms. Like it all took place in like one location, in one house. And obviously Brendan Fraser was just like, him and The Mummy, that was part of like my bi-awakening. So like I'll always have like this solid place in my heart for his whole career. So.
This next one I'm sure is not really a fair question to you who's so deep musically, but what is that number one song of all time?
The number one song.
What is your stairway, sir?
Anybody's number one is going to be based not on necessarily the quality of the song, but what it means to them, as well as the people, maybe not the song itself, but the people who made it, and memories, all that kind of shit comes into play. I think that if I could say a number one group of all time for me, that in my brain, I think this is the greatest band of all time, I think it has to be Fleetwood Mac. I think that's where I'm at. Knowing that, I have to say that the masterpiece album of Fleetwood Mac was Rumors. And knowing that the masterpiece of the masterpiece was Rumors. From Rumors, I would say that it would probably have to be a two-way tie between The Chain and Gold Dust Woman as like the two greatest pieces for me. Also understanding that I'm not taking into consideration, dead German composers and, like things that existed, like also like, black blues composers and everything that existed to create the environment where Fleetwood Mac was possible. I'm just saying relative to my life and my experiences. I've done a couple deep dives on the mix of Rumors, and it's bottomless. So much subtlety, so much refined, like, simplicity. And it was just so perfectly, like, they were able to say, like, it's done. Just, like, small drop, and it's like, just a little tweak, now it's done. And they walked away from it. And you can hear that in the mix. And so I think that The Chain, Gold Dust Woman, the two of those, probably.
And their ability to slay that live for so many years to follow.
Yeah, I saw them in Greensboro 2015, and they opened with The Chain. And Mick Fleetwood was just, I mean, he's a beast of a human. He's a huge guy, but he's like so over his facial expressions. He's like, beating and screaming and everything. It was awesome. Yeah.
All right, man. I'm down to just my last two questions here, and then I'm gonna let you get out of here because I know you're a busy guy. But this is a fun one. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But what's one question you wish that I had asked you? What do you want my audience to know?
Why? I would say that the question I'd wished anybody who's sitting across the table with somebody who's a performer, entertainer full time is like, why are you doing this? Like, you could go sell your labor in retail or go tend a bar or work a field or, why is this what you're doing? I'll leave it at that.
I dig it. All right. And with that being said, let's put everything up here on the screen, all the social medias, website where we can find LazrLuvr.
LazrLuvr, yeah.
So everything's being booked through the band right now. No agencies involved.
Correct. Yeah. You can, if you want information on LazrLuvr, you can go to our website. That's LazrLuvr.com, or you can email us at LazrLuvrmusic@gmail.com. And you can get in touch with me that way. Also, other projects have socials and emails. It's Moonshine State, Circuit Breakers, and Moonkeeper. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, man, congratulations to you on your early success with these projects.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
You are a phenomenal talent, one of the best singers I've heard in the area. Certainly one of the most energetic performers. I mean, you're incredible.
Not a lot of people jumping on.
I love, dude. I love it. I love it. It's every band needs a frontman like you.
I appreciate you saying that, and all this, obviously, like, it's not lost on me that it's coming from you, man. So thanks for having me here, and thanks for all the work you're doing. You got a big heart, man, and I hope as many people are aware of that as possible. So
thank you so much.
Keep on keeping on.
And I look forward to having you back when that album drops.
Yes, sir. Of course.
All right. Cheers. All right, y'all. I'm Corey Short. This is Raphael Morales with LazrLuvr. We're all out of time for today. We'll see you back here with episode 6 next week. Have a good weekend.